Why didn't you tell us you were the Avatar?
Because I never wanted to be.
Air, the element of freedom. The freedom to live the life you want in peace. However, some people don't have that luxury. Sometimes we have to do things that we don't want to do, and many times that may go against our own nature, creating inner conflict. This is where learning to balance not only your emotions, but every aspect of your life comes into play, and nobody knows balance better than the arbiter of peace, balance, and all that is good in the world, Avatar Aang.
He was one of the best friends I ever had. And he was from the Fire Nation, just like you. If we knew each other back then, do you think we could have been friends too?
We all know the story of Aang, but it's necessary to look deeper at his roots to understand his philosophy, and how it helped shape his view of balance. Aang grew up as a monk at the Southern Air Temple under the tutelage of Monk Gyatso, who raised him in the way of peace. He was taught to respect all life, that even the lives of the smallest of insects and the most evil of people are sacred, and this shaped his very being. At his core, Aang was a pacifist who wanted to experience all that he could in life, but with that ingrained personality came conflict. Aang was raised by the air nomads to be carefree, devoid of responsibility to anyone other than himself, and to show love for all people. However, in learning that he was the Avatar in a dire time where he would have to give up all he had ever known, Aang became conflicted. He was taught by the monks to be free and live his life the way he wanted, but now that he was the Avatar, his life became part of a predetermined destiny, and though he was destined to fight for peace, he was a pacifist. He didn't want to fight. His so-called enemies were the impending threat of the Fire Nation, but he won't necessarily always be able to show them compassion, as this was a war. Aang was at the crossroads of his destiny. Does he accept his fate as the Avatar, stop the war, and possibly lose himself in the process? Or take matters into his own hands and live freely the way he was taught to? The answer is actually both. He just needed to balance his priorities.
Their story proves anyone's capable of great good and great evil. Everyone, even the Fire Lord and the Fire Nation, have to be treated like they're worth giving a chance.
Throughout his life, Aang has experienced more than most people, and that's excluding Avatar stuff. He's seen death and destruction, felt deep sadness and intense anger, and dealt with the repercussions of his past failures and the impact his actions would have on the future. During his meditations with Guru Patik, Aang faced each of these things head on. He let go of the fear, the guilt, the shame, the grief, the lies, and the illusions, which were many of the negative emotions that held him back, but there were still things that even the guru couldn't teach him. However, he was still able to balance his other emotions. In his travels and adventures with his friends around the world, Aang took on many of their qualities. In giving Sokka advice on numerous occasions, Aang improved his own self-perception by reassuring himself the same things. In meeting Katara, Aang found something to fight for. Much like how Katara fights for her mother, Aang fights for Katara, giving them both drive to do what they do, making them strong and unstoppable. Toph's harsh earthbending training taught Aang to think differently than normal and gave him the confidence to keep trying to earthbend. Zuko's reform from angry brute to kind ally helped Aang see that anger was something that can be controlled, and it reinforced his personal belief that people can change for the better. Most importantly, Aang realized that even though he could overcome parts of himself, such as when opening his chakras with the Guru, there are still things he can't overcome. One of these flaws being attachment. He grows too attached to people and things in his life that it makes it hard for him to prioritize. But in realizing this, Aang's greatest weakness combined with his personality to become his greatest strength. His weakness was attachment, and in realizing this, Aang found that his strength is his intelligence, his versatility, and his willingness to find another way even when there isn't one, all in efforts to preserve the things and people he is attached to.
When we hit our lowest point, we are open to the greatest change.
Part of Aang's understanding of balance is his understanding of and willingness to accept change. From the world being drastically different after 100 years to trying to preserve airbender culture, Aang has consistently struggled with change. When something in life changes from what we're accustomed to, it becomes an experience, and experiences are things that shape us. It's often said that life is just the sum total of our experiences, and that, by definition, must include change. The key to dealing with change is adapting to the situation, and a lot of times that situation may be our lowest point, as Aang so eloquently states in his afterlife. Aang, being an airbender, is quick to adapt, like when first learning earthbending, waking up from his post-Ba Sing Se coma, and most notably, dealing with the death of his people. In all these instances and more, Aang had hit an emotional low point. With earthbending, it was his lack of confidence in himself after Toph's difficult training methods, which he soon learned to embrace. After waking up from his coma, it was the notion that he had failed the world again, so he wanted to take matters into his own hands. Aang felt guilt and grief for the air nomads because he wasn't there to help them, believing it was his fault, sending him into a fit of rage and sadness the likes of which we cannot comprehend. In hitting this low point, Aang made it his goal to not only fulfill his duty as the Avatar, but to also preserve airbender culture so that his people may live on. The world may not be the same for Aang, and oftentimes change might be for the worse, but it is in Aang's nature to adapt, and to adapt to change, we must change ourselves.
If I try, I fail. But if I don't try, I'm never gonna get it. I feel like I'm caught between a rock and a hard place.
If you too want to balance your emotions like Aang, the first thing you need to do is, well, do what all the other characters do. While Sokka and Toph may be complete opposites in terms of self-perception, or Katara and Zuko being complete opposites in terms of their personalities, there is always something to learn from both sides of the coin. You can be insecure like Sokka, but still turn that into confidence like Toph. You can be fueled by anger like Zuko, but still be kind like Katara. There is more than one way to confidence or strength, the same way there is more than one way to achieving inner peace. You're going to feel all kinds of emotions in your life, some more than others, but what's important is that you experience them all at their strongest. The height of happiness, the full depth of sadness, rage so strong it hurts your chest, and every other emotion in between. Nobody has ever experienced just one emotion in their whole life, because we're all flawed beings. And to paraphrase the guru, life can get messy. The key is to not try to suppress your emotions. Don't try to forget the sadness or the anger or any other negative emotion. Embrace them in the same way you would a positive emotion. This is balance, and it's the way to build your own character and become the person you want to be.
We are all one people, but we live as if divided.
We're all connected. Everything is connected.
There's a reason the Avatar is a human in every incarnation. Humans are capable of experiencing complex emotions that we use to shape our lives, and this is why the Avatar must fight for balance in every lifetime. Much like Aang, we all must experience negative emotions to truly appreciate the positive ones. And this is why the Avatar has been a hero in every lifetime, because they live amongst people and cultures from all over the world and experience the full spectrum of emotions, which is why they fight for balance. They fight to preserve the world they had grown to love. We're all going to experience deep depression and intense euphoria, love and hate in all forms, and times where we're so angry that we come close to losing ourselves in the process, but we are all capable of pulling ourselves from the brink and getting our lives together, because the human spirit is strong enough, kind enough, and powerful enough to withstand anything the universe throws at us. We are all the Avatar of our own lives, and unleashing that power all starts with some self-reflection and the desire to achieve inner balance and peace within ourselves.